Hello and welcome to another episode of the Gentle Business Space podcast. I'm Fabi, I'm your host, and I'm a systems expert and coach. And in today's episode, I want to talk a little bit more about what we can do when we're feeling lost in our business and how reconnecting to our vision can be a great way to help you to move forward again. So I'm sure we've all been in this space when we feel lost, bit all over the place, overwhelmed with so many different directions we could go in, so many projects we're maybe working on, just generally that feeling of where do I even start, because there's so many things and so much outside advice of, you should be following this strategy, or you should be posting every day, you should be doing that, it's a lot of the times that kind of should takes over. And we start following these different paths and get really distracted and even more overwhelmed because we think somewhere out there must be that outside solution that can help us move forward and help us with that disconnect. And I've done this many times myself, signed up to lots and lots of freebies that I could find, and yet another solution of, okay, but this must work and surely this strategy should help me. And I think we do that a lot, especially at the beginning when we're starting out, because we're not quite sure where we're going. So maybe it's testing a little bit the waters of, what are other people doing, which I think is quite normal to do before we find our own path, our own way forward. But even later on when we've been in business for a while, we've been running your business for quite a while, we can still get to those phases where we get overwhelmed, where there's just too much different things going on and we get distracted. Bit of shiny object syndrome. And I think for me, that's a couple of things that can contribute to that. Is sometimes that kind of self-doubt creeps in, not quite believing that it's working what we're doing, or because we aren't getting the results that we want maybe. But also I find myself, it's kind of an outcome as well as a reason is when I scroll too much on social media, when I see so much of especially all of that outside advice, you should be doing that, you should be doing that, that then creeps into, it's like, I'm not doing enough, maybe I should try this, maybe this works, and we kind of get into that loop of surely the next thing will help. Let's try this. And every week trying a different strategy, trying a different project, and maybe I should do one-to-ones, or maybe I should do that. And it's not surprising that we get really, really overwhelmed by that and disconnected from our own business, from what we actually wanted to create. And so for me, it's really important having that direction, being clear on our vision, and that's not always easy, but it made the biggest difference to me when I start noticing those signs of overwhelm. It's like, this is getting too much, I'm doing too many different things, getting distracted with kind of the outside noise, to come back to my own vision of what I actually want to create, what I want to do. I think a great sign to notice this is when the should creeps in, when that kind of, I should be doing this, I should take a new system because that will organize everything for me, I should find a new strategy, I should work one-to-one, and so on. And I know we've all done it before, I certainly have. But when we notice that, we can redirect ourselves and we can come back to our own vision of what we want to create and find that inner path again. Because it's a little bit like traveling, isn't it? If we don't know the direction where we're going to get distracted on the way. We're going to go to one place and then the other place and then another place, but actually we still haven't managed to get to that main place where we want to get to, because we're not actually clear on where we're going. So a few just very gentle tips towards reconnecting when we feel a little bit lost and overwhelmed. For me, it's usually that first space of slowing down and starting to listen what's actually going on. Because when everything feels a bit noisy and overwhelming, it's always great to just pause for a moment. noticing your own signs of what's actually going on. Maybe you're scrolling too much, chasing, those new strategies and new, let's do something new, and feeling unsure where to start. Really noticing what's going on for yourself and listening to those gentle nudges that your body might be telling you. As well, the bodily signs where we actually feel overwhelmed within our body. So I invite you, when you notice that, to just breathe, maybe journal a little bit around what's actually going on. And, maybe we notice, what has actually crept in. Maybe it's a little bit of self-doubt or, imposter syndrome, and all those kind of things can creep in. So you're starting to notice what might be the reason or what's actually going on for you. And also noticing what you need. So what do you need to move forward to support yourself? And then I know connecting to your vision can be really overwhelming. So I invite you to start small and just become curious again. So maybe you already have a really clear vision, you just got a bit distracted from it. So then it's maybe spending more time in that first step, being really curious about why that happened and how you can support yourself moving forward. But maybe your vision isn't actually very clear yet. And we spoke about this in my free masterclass that I run around growing your business without burning out, because it's actually really hard if you don't know what your vision is. If it's not clear, then it's not surprising that we get easily distracted and overwhelmed. But finding that vision can also be difficult, because maybe you went into this knowing exactly you want to teach yoga or you want to coach, but maybe you weren't clear on what exactly that's going to look like, what your work life is going to look like, what your personal life is going to look like, your whole, life work balance, how you want to bring that to life. So just with curiosity, I invite you to explore a little bit. So if a 10-year vision feels too overwhelming and too scary, or just not, reachable, we can't really see that, that's absolutely fine. I couldn't for age, and that's still not super clear on my 10-year vision. But you can start smaller. So how do you want to feel maybe in a year or in 6 months or even in a couple of months? How do you want to feel? How do you want to work? Who do you love supporting? Who do you want to work with more? And you don't need to know all of those answers. Just starting to follow what feels right, what feels, interesting, and being a little bit curious. And it is going to feel initially messy and a bit, I'm not sure what I'm doing potentially, but it does get clearer over time. So allowing yourself to be gentle with yourself and following those little breadcrumbs, trying out what might work, what you might enjoy, what you might not enjoy. Because we don't know that, do we? I said that as well in my masterclass. I think we're talking exactly about that. Maybe we don't know what we're good at and what we aren't good at, but there might be little signs and we can follow those and then try it out. If maybe we like something, maybe we don't like something. That applies to everything, the way we want to work, your schedule, but also what you're offering. Is it one-to-ones or groups? We can try it, and then if you don't like it, you can let go of it, or maybe it needs tweaking so it works better for you. As well as any kind of strategy, it's about posting on Instagram, or how do you want to promote yourself, and all those kind of things. Being more curious around how we could move forward, and then that all comes back to our vision. Knowing you want to maybe have more space, or work in a more gentle way, or work more one-to-ones, or actually work more passive. But we can try things out if you're unsure about that, and then gradually find our way. So taking it step by step, start with your smallest vision. Where do you want to be in a couple of months' time? Maybe that's your starting point. And then you can grow your vision, which will give you direction and help you not to get distracted as much. And then as kind of a last point with that is starting to kind of tune out all the outside noise. Because there's a lot of advice out there, and it's really, really easy to get sucked into that. And that's very often what disconnects us from our personal vision and path that we want to create. And all of that outside advice, it's not about something being right or wrong, but it might just not be right for you or what you need. Because we're all different, we all work in different ways. We all want to create something different. But I'm sure you can see how when we're really clear on what we personally want to create, we can also get the right support. Because when we know where we're going, again, that direction of traveling, I know I want to go to, I don't know, Paris, then I also know what kind of support do I need to get there. And I can stay really focused, and can all those other paths and journeys can move to the side for the time being. And we can really focus on that and move ahead, just go in that one direction, and through that all the outside noise gets a little bit quieter. And of course we can, protect our space a little bit with scrolling less, listening a little bit less, maybe having one or two, support people in our space that help us nurture that path, help us really grow that, our vision, without getting too many different tips and strategies and advice on how we need to do things. Because it's very easy to then get distracted. So for me, that, I've been on this kind of journey many times, kind of getting distracted. So as I said, you're not alone. Especially at the beginning, I found it really difficult to find a vision, because I was that person. I wanted to, initially teach yoga. I wanted to help others. I wanted to be self-employed. So these parts were really clear to me, but I didn't know how that might look like. And I think that's an important part, because you might be clear on some bits. You don't have to be clear on everything in your vision. It will fall into place over time. The more you try out things, things will fall into place a lot more over time. So I knew one thing that was always clear for me was always I wanted to work self-employed. That was kind of the core really for me personally. And how that looked changed over time. And it will change over time as well, according to your own needs and your own capacity. And, sometimes you might prefer working one-to-one. Maybe over time that will change and you find yourself, actually, I'm craving more space. Maybe like a group offering would be better for me. Or maybe you're craving more space and you want to work more passively. And all of that is absolutely fine. It's just starting to become clearer on that. Allowing ourselves to change as well over time. For me, that changed many times. For me, it used to be really, I wanted to teach yoga, but actually following my strength, I noticed virtual assistant work is much better for me and my vision, allows me to be more flexible. And even within that, things are starting to change for me, because again, I'm craving more space. I want, take a little different direction, and that's fine. But we always start with that first spot of, okay, what's going on? Starting to slow down, listening, noticing when we feel, not aligned to what we want to do, maybe not as happy with the things we're doing, or a little bit trapped, or, we start to feel overwhelmed and distracted. So when we notice that, we can do, we can check in, notice what we need, reconnect to, okay, what is it actually that I want and need from my life and my business, from my work? How do I want to work? And following those paths that are clear, and gently exploring the ones that maybe aren't as clear yet, with a little bit of openness, seeing what might happen. So as I said, you're not alone. I've been through this journey so many times, and things change, and that's absolutely fine. So a few journaling prompts and questions maybe for you to check in with yourself, noticing maybe what does success actually look like for you personally. And again, that looks different for all of us. How do you want to work? What do you want your work day, week, month to look like? And what kind of support do you might need to help you get there? So it's just something to check in with yourself. So as we're coming to the end of this episode, just a little summary. If you're feeling lost, if you're feeling overwhelmed at the moment, little bit directionless. Is that a word? Yeah. A bit unsure where you're going, a little bit overwhelmed and scattered. So whenever we feel scattered, it's great to take a moment to pause, slow down, start to listen what's going on, being a little bit more curious and open about what we experience, and then reconnecting to that vision of where you want to go and following the little breadcrumbs of how we can get there, and becoming clearer and clearer with each step on where you're going. If you'd like more support around that, I also offer one-to-one support. If you're interested in that, just get in touch. Otherwise, I would love to know your insights and your views on the topic from today. So I invite you to just leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Always love to hear that. So thank you so much for joining me for this episode. I hope there was some helpful bits in there for you. And I will see you again soon for the next episode. Take care.